Welcome to KT Study Zone. In this video series, we're going to discuss about the chemical basis of life. This is the part 1 and we'll talk about carbohydrates. Before directly jumping into carbohydrates, we'll see what chemicals compose life. Well, out of the 92 elements present in nature, about 25 elements form the living body. And the 4 most common elements are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. I remember this as John, CHON. Other than them, sulfur, phosphorus, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, iron, and chlorine are essential for the survival of the organisms. As you can see in this diagram, oxygen forms 65% of the living body. Carbon 18%, hydrogen 10%, nitrogen 3%, and all the other elements are composed in trace amounts and they sum up to 4%. Now we will see the chemical compounds which form the living body. They can be categorized into 2 groups as organic compounds and inorganic compounds. Carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids are the 4 most common organic compounds, and we call them as biomolecules. Vitamins are also an organic compound found in the living matter. Water, minerals, and gases are the inorganic compounds found in living matter. Now we will see more about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the most abundant organic compound on Earth. They are produced during the photosynthesis process. The main elemental composition of carbohydrates is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and sometimes it might contain nitrogen. In carbohydrates, hydrogen and oxygen combine in 2:1 ratio. So, we come up with the common molecular formula CxH2OY for carbohydrates. Next, we will look at the classification of carbohydrates. There are 3 groups of carbohydrates as monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. Mono means 1, di means 2, and poly means a lot. That means polysaccharides are formed by the combination of large number of monomers. If you look at the examples, most common monosaccharides are glucose, fructose, and galactose. Most common disaccharides are maltose, sucrose, and lactose. And for polysaccharides, we have starch, cellulose, and glycogen. Next, we'll discuss about them in detail. Monosaccharides are the structural unit or the monomer of carbohydrates, which means they are the building unit of carbohydrates. Monosaccharides are known as simple sugars. They are crystal-shaped, generally sweet in taste, water-soluble, and also reducing sugars, which means they answer the Benedict test. Let's get into the examples for monosaccharides. Glucose. As you can see in this diagram, glucose has a simple molecular arrangement. You can find glucose in ripened fruits and bee honey. Molecular formula of glucose is C6H12O6. The end product during hydrolysis of all starchy food is glucose, and this glucose is absorbed into blood. Plants produce glucose during photosynthesis process. Energy is released during the breakdown of glucose in cellular respiration, so we can call glucose as a good energy source. Fructose. You can find fructose in ripened fruits, bee honey, pumpkin, and carrots. Fructose is known as fruit sugar. Well, fructose is formed during the ripening of fruits. Fructose is the sweetest sugar. Galactose. You can find galactose in dairy products. The end product of lactose hydrolysis or the breakdown of lactose is galactose. This does not have a sweet taste. Now let's look into disaccharides. Two monosaccharide molecules or two monomers join to form a disaccharide. During this process, a water molecule is released. In the same way, relevant monosaccharides can be obtained by hydrolyzing or breaking down a disaccharide. A monosaccharide plus a monosaccharide forms a disaccharide and a water molecule. This process is reversible. For example, two glucose molecules combine to form a maltose molecule, which is a disaccharide, and a water molecule. Disaccharides are sweet in taste and water-soluble crystals. Now let's seek examples for disaccharides. Maltose. You can find maltose in germinating seeds. The molecular formula of maltose is C12H22O11. Two glucose molecules combine to form maltose and a water molecule. Maltose is an intermediate product of starch hydrolysis. That means when you hydrolyze starch, you first get maltose and the further hydrolysis gives you glucose. Sucrose. You can find sucrose in white and brown sugar, sugarcane, beet, and some fruits. A glucose molecule and a fructose molecule combines to form sucrose and water. This is the type of carbohydrate which translocates in the phloem sap in trees. Sucrose is a non-reducing sugar, which means this does not answer the Benedict test. Lactose. This can be found in dairy products. A glucose molecule and a galactose molecule combines to form a lactose molecule and water. This is the only sugar that is absent in plants. Lactose does not have a sweet taste as sucrose. For some extra facts, percentage of lactose in cow's milk by the composition is like 4% to 6%, and the percentage of lactose in human milk by composition is 6% to 7%. Alright guys, now it's time for polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are formed by the polymerization of a large number of monosaccharides or the building units. And the hydrolysis of polysaccharide results in the relevant monosaccharides. Polysaccharides are insoluble in normal water, they are not crystals, and they do not have a sweet taste. Now we'll see examples for polysaccharides. Starch. This can be found in grains, yams, jackfruit, bread, and in a lot more fruit. Well, this is the type of carbohydrate that is stored in plants. And starch can be identified using the iodine test, in which iodine is turned from light brown or yellow to dark purple. Cellulose. This can be found in the cell wall of the plant cells in fiber form. Cellulose is not digested in the human digestive system, but it helps to avoid the constipation by facilitating the defecation by maintaining the fecal bulk. Glycogen. This can be found in animal liver and muscles. Well, this is the type of carbohydrate that is stored in the animal body. You might have heard about the insulin hormone, which converts glucose into glycogen and stores in the liver. Alright, now we'll discuss about the significance of carbohydrates as an energy source. The main source to obtain energy for the activities of organisms is carbohydrates. The monosaccharide molecules, especially glucose, produced during the hydrolysis of those compounds release energy, and thereby carbohydrates act as an energy source. As a storage compound, for example, glycogen is stored in animals and starch is stored in plants. As a structural component in plant cell wall, in this case cellulose. As a constituent of nucleic acids. That means if you consider the monomer of nucleic acids, which is the nucleotide, has a pentose sugar group, which is a carbohydrate. I'll discuss about nucleic acids in a later video. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, comment your ideas, and subscribe for more.